It is time for Political Breakfast. Today, a new poll shows that former Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is the clear frontrunner in the Democratic primary race for Georgia governor. The public policy polling group surveyed 620 likely Democratic primary voters earlier in the month. Democratic strategist Tharon Johnson and Republican strategist Brian Robinson are here this morning to discuss. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Brian, you up first. I imagine this poll has piqued the interest of the GOP field of candidates and strategists like yourself.
Well, I'll tell you, in GOP strategist circles, we're all hoping that this poll is right. We see Mayor Bottoms as the weakest possible candidate going into the general election. And we've seen in the news this week why that is. We're watching the trial coverage for Sequoia Turner, a story that should fill decent people with utter rage. This story 5 years later still just gets my blood boiling. And it's not just that I'm the father of an 8-year-old girl, who was murdered in this particular case. I felt this way 5 years ago. This one has just really gotten to me. And I really do think that it's a disqualifying part of Mayor Bottoms's tenure. And that's how Republicans see it. She would certainly be the easiest to define in a negative way. And I don't think the deciders, those people in the middle who make, nuanced, distinguished choices, will go with her record in office.
Tharon, you chime in here.
Well, I think it's very important that our listeners know, Lisa, that this was a poll that was released by the Keisha Lance Bottoms campaign for governor. That's a very, very key portion of this narrative. So not questioning the validity of the poll, but one can't really take a deeper dive into the polls till you also get the crosstabs. With 621 likely Georgia primary voters, we don't know where those voters live, where they reside. Were they all metro? Were they, they said it was statewide, but what portions of the state? The second thing is what you just heard from Brian. I mean, he just laid out a Republican attack on former Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Now, this poll clearly shows that it's a name recognition poll. It said that in the headline that clearly it was just people were asked, do you know this person and what's your favorability? But the number that sticks out to me, to Brian's point, is 36% of the people who were polled are undecided. So if you're Keisha Lance Bottoms and Michael Thurmond, it looks like it's going to be highly likely this is going to go to a runoff. What I don't believe in this poll, Lisa, is that 12 or so percent of the people who were asked, who are primary voters, are saying they're going to vote for Geoff Duncan. But again, that's to me why it's a name recognition poll more so than it is like a true Democratic scientific poll where you can really get into where the candidates stand right now.
Yeah, back to the death of
Right.
an innocent 8-year-old girl, Sequoia Turner. Is it fair, Brian, to bring that up into the discussion as it relates to Keisha Lance Bottoms?
This was her record. She was the mayor. She was the chief executive officer of the city of Atlanta at a time when the city ordered police to withdraw from what they called the autonomous zone. And that lawlessness is what allowed these gangs. These weren't social justice protesters. These were criminal street gangs who took over the roads and terrorized law-abiding citizens in that area. If that is not a fair attack on her tenure as mayor, I don't know what is. But I'll tell you what, the Georgians will certainly see it as fair and see it as very pertinent, as well as the way she attacked Governor Kemp for opening our economy when many Democrats were attacking him for doing so. That decision by Governor Kemp today is very popular with Georgians on both sides of the aisle. They now look back and go, that was the right thing to do. My family was better off because Governor Kemp was in charge. And Republicans can say, that's not how it would have been if we had had a Governor Bottoms at that point in time. And I also say Tharon's analysis there was excellent on the poll. He brought a lot of great perspective there. And he's right about Geoff Duncan. I had warned Democrats, Geoff is going to pop in polls early on because a lot of Democrats know his name and have warm feelings toward him because he took on Trump, who they hate more than anything in the world. So they have that bond. As they learn his record, that will change.
36% undecided. That's a pretty big percentage, right, going into this, Tharon?
Yeah, and look, just to echo what B Rob is saying about Sequoia Turner, like him, I was outraged. Let me say this as a person who supported Keisha Lance Bottoms for mayor. All right, let me be clear. But when that happened, and guess what? I mean, she probably will have to talk about how she felt at that moment and also
Mm-hmm.
how she feels now. It will
Mm-hmm.
come up, and it's on the front page of the paper
Yeah.
today in the Atlanta Journal Constitution. And so, yeah, I do think it's relevant to bring up. But yeah, 36 undecided is a big number. And so, Lisa, you got to think about this, right? If you're Jason Esteves, this is probably not a number that you wanted to pop up on the screen right now,
Yeah,
right? You
that's
yeah,
right.
you've been in the race a long time. You raised the most money, but he'll have his team respond to it. If you're Olu Brown and Derrick Jackson, this is pretty devastating. But if you're Michael Thurmond, you're saying, okay, you know what? I'm the alternative. And I'm the guy that has been in the race the least amount of time other than Geoff Duncan. But I'm polling it in number two. And then also the question then becomes, as a strategist, Lisa, is who can build a winning coalition in a runoff? Who actually has the most ground to gain? Like who can really get those people who don't vote for the top vote getter? And I think that if you're Michael Thurman right now, you're in that second place. But then it comes down to ideas. You know, who do we want to elect? Who is going to be the best person to win in November? You just heard from B. Rob, a Republican strategist, and I trust what he's saying, that they believe at this time they want Keisha Lance Bottoms because she is the person they think they can beat. The question then becomes, who are Democrats going to elect in the primary that's going to have the most electability and the ability to build a winning coalition in November?
Quickly, let's follow up on the deep red District 21 seat. Republican Jason Dickerson defeated nationally backed Democrat Debra Shigley. No real surprises there, Brian?
No, I had said all along that the Republican was going to win by close to 70%. I think he got, but it was 62. No, I said close to 60, and it was actually ended up being 62. Democrats did pick up some margin, and look, Republicans need to be concerned about that. They need to tune in on that. I think Democrats made a mistake by making this a winner-loss game, and they were never going to win. And the DNC chair comes down here and goes, there's no honor in second place. That was bad messaging. They knew they were going to lose. I simply don't understand. It was a bad strategy, bad messaging.
Tharon, do you agree? We got about 30 seconds here.
Lisa, listen, B Rob is right. I knew we were going to probably lose that race when you asked me that question live on Tuesday morning. Of course, being a Democratic strategist, I had to show momentum and say that she's going to win, right? But
Right.
no, I mean, it was a 23-point loss. And this, I want to remind our listeners, Trump won in this district by 34%. So even though Deborah Shigley, who I think is a wonderful woman, she did not win the race, I do think it's something that Democrats can pick up on, and we can utilize some of the tactics and the strategy in some of these areas where there are some disaffected Republicans who don't just vote for the Republican MAGA Trump back candidate. There is some room to grow there.
All right. Thanks, guys. We'll check in next week for Political Breakfast
Thank
right
you.
here on WABE.